Good morning. Welcome to Books by Ivan. My name is Ivan and I read books. Today we'll be continuing with White Nights by Dostoyevsky. But before we go into the book, let's talk about what happened in the last chapter for those that couldn't make it to the very end. So, interesting story. Nastenka met a boy. No, I'm not talking about Dostoyevsky or the dreamer, unfortunately. But Nastenka and the boy made a promise to join in exactly 1 year. By join, I mean marry. And it's been a year, and Nastenka is worried that the boy, for the lack of a better word, ditched her. And she pretty much went to Dostoevsky for guidance, I guess you could say that. And by doing so, she ended up writing a letter addressing the subject as to why he hasn't come and seen her. And in the chapter that I'm about to read today, the third night, it's what it's called. I hope we get more detail on what will happen between those three. I seriously hope this isn't a love triangle. I really do. If not, this will crush my heart if Dostoevsky doesn't get chosen. Alright, enough talking. As always, grab a cup of coffee, make yourself comfortable. This is White Nights by Fyodor Dostoyevsky. Today was a sad, rainy day, without a ray of hope, just like my future old age. Starting off strong, oh my god. I am besieged by such strange thoughts, such dark sensations, such obscure questions, which still crowd my mind, and somehow I have neither the strength nor the desire to resolve them. It is not for me to resolve all this. Today we will not see each other. Yesterday, when we were saying goodbye, clouds began to gather in the sky and mist was rising. I said that tomorrow the weather would be bad. She didn't answer. She didn't want to say anything that would go contrary to her wishes. For her, this day was to be both bright and clear, and there wasn't to be a single cloud to darken her happiness. Okay, context. Context, because you guys will need this, though I didn't make it to the middle or the very end of the video. The reason that she didn't say anything is because, as I mentioned earlier, she gave a letter to Dostoyevsky so that he would give it to a certain person so that he would give that letter to kind people. That's really what's written in the book, kind people. And they would give that letter to the boy, and the boy would write back, and the letter would be given to Dostoyevsky, which in turn would be given to her. The reason why she didn't say anything is because she didn't want it to be raining. She didn't want anything to affect the day because she had high hopes. And she was, I guess, she wanted a clear and precise answer to whether he ditched her or he isn't here yet. Alright, let's go back. If it rains, then we won't see each other, she said. I won't come. I thought she wouldn't notice the rain today, but she didn't come. Yesterday was our third meeting, our third night. But how fine joy and happiness makes a person. How the heart seethes with love. It seems that you want to pour out all your heart into another's heart. You want everything to be great. Laughter everywhere. And how infectious is this joy? Yesterday, in her words, there was such a tenderness, so much heartfelt kindness towards me. How she flattered me, how she treated me with affection, how she cheered and pampered my heart. Oh, how much cookery springs forth from happiness. And I took everything from the genuine article. I thought that but my goodness, how could I have thought that? How could I have been so blind when everything had been taken by another, when everything was not mine, when in the end, even this very tenderness of hers, her attention, her love, yes, her love for me was more than joy at the impending meeting with someone else, the desire to thrust her happiness on me. Okay. Wow. So Dostoyevsky just realized, right? It just clicked for him that he's not the first choice. Just like how many of us can relate in some point in our life that we were not the first choice in somebody else's love life. You know, this is hitting way too close from home. I'm sorry. Hold on. Let me just go back to reading before I start crying over here. When he didn't come, when we waited in vain, she frowned, lost heart, and became frightened. All her movements, all her words were no longer so light, playful, and gay. Gay? That's funny. No, seriously, it says gay. And strangely enough, she doubled her attentions to me as if instinctively wishing to lavish upon me all that she wished for herself and that she feared might not come past. My Nastenka was so timid, so afraid that it seems she understood at last that I loved her, and she took pity on my poor love. And so it is that when we are unhappy, we more strongly feel the unhappiness of others. Feelings is not shattered, but become concentrated. Please, okay, if you're listening, don't become somebody else's second choice. Don't. You must always be the first. I had come to her with a full heart, scarcely able to wait for our meeting. I had no presentiment of how I would feel now, no presentiment it would all end differently. She was beaming with joy. She was waiting for her answer. He himself was the answer. He was supposed to come running at her summons. She came a whole hour earlier than I. At first he shrieked with laughter at everything, laughed at my every word. I was just about to speak and fell silent. Do you know why I'm so happy? She said. So happy to look at you? Why do I love you so today? Well, I asked, and my heart began to tremble. I love you because you didn't fall in love with me. Why, someone else in your place will have started bothering me, pestering me, sighing, falling ill, but you're such a dear. He did, in fact, fall in love with her. Okay. And then she squeezed my hand so that I almost cried out. She laughed. My goodness, what a friend you are. She began a minute later, very seriously. Yes, God himself sent you to me. Well, what would have happened to me if you had not been with me now? You're so unselfish. You loved me so when I married. We would be great friends, more than if you had been brothers. I will love you almost as much as I love him. That's too hard. I began to feel somehow terrible, sad at the moment. However, something very much like a laughter was beginning to stir in my soul. "You're nervous," I said. "You're afraid. You think that he won't come." "Good heavens," she answered. If I were any less happy, I should probably burst into tears on account of your lack of faith. Your reproaches, however, you've given me an idea and a lot to think about. But I think about it later, and now I confess to you that you spoke the truth. Yes, I'm somehow not myself. I'm somehow all wrapped up in expectation and somehow feel everything too lightly. But enough. Let's not talk about feelings. At that moment, step could be heard, and in the darkness appeared a passerby who was walking in our direction. We both began to tremble. She almost cried out. I let go of her hand and made a gesture as though I wanted to walk away. But we were both mistaken. It was not he. Oh, man. "What are you afraid of? Why did you not keep holding my hand?" she said as she gave it to me again. "Well, what's the matter? We'll meet him together. I want him to see that we love each other. That we love each other," I cried. "Oh, Nastenka, Nastenka," I thought to myself. How much you've said with that one word. Such a love, Nastenka, a certain moment can make the heart grow cold and make one miserable. Your hand is cold. Mine is as hot as fire. How blind you are, Nastenka. That is pure poetry right there. Let me read that back to you. Such a love, Nastenka, at certain moment can make the heart grow cold and one miserable. Your hand is cold. Mine is as hot as fire. How blind you are, Nastenka. Oh, how miserable is the happy person at certain moments, but I couldn't be angry with you. Finally, my heart was overflowing. "Listen, Nastenka," I cried. "Do you know what I've been through today?" "Well, what? What is it? Tell me quickly. Why have you been silent all this time?" "First of all, Nastenka, when I had carried out all your commissions, delivered the letter, visited your good people, then I returned home and went to bed." "Is that all?" she interrupted, laughing. "Yes, almost all," I answered reluctantly, because foolish tears were already welling up in my eyes. I woke up an hour before our meeting, and it was as if I hadn't slept. I don't know what was wrong with me. I was coming so that I could tell you all this, as if time had stopped for me, as if a certain sensation, a certain feeling were going to remain with me forever, from this time forward, as if a single minute would continue for a whole eternity, and all life would come to a halt for me. When I woke up, it seems to me that some sort of musical melody, long familiar, heard somewhere before, forgotten and sweet, was coming back to me. It seemed to me that all my life it had been begging to be released from my soul, and only now. My goodness, Nastenka interrupted. "What is all this about? I don't understand a single word." Nastenka, I wanted somehow to convey this strange impression to you. I began in a plaintive voice which still harbored hope, albeit a very remote one. "Enough. Stop, enough, she said, and in a single instant, she figured out everything. The imp! Suddenly, she began, somehow unusually talkative, gay and mischievous. She took me by the hand, laughing. She wanted me to laugh as well, and each word of mine, uttered in embarrassment, was met with such a ringing, such prolonged laughter. I began to get angry. She had suddenly started playing the coquette. Listen, she began, I'm a bit disappointed, that you didn't fall in love with me. Just try and understand human nature after that. But still, and all, Mr. Inflexible, you cannot but praise me for being such a simple girl. I tell you, everything, no matter what sort of foolishness comes into my head. Listen, that's 11 o'clock, isn't it? I said, when the measured sound of the bell began to ring in the distant city tower. She suddenly stopped, left off laughing, and began to count. Yes, 11, she said, at last in a timid, hesitant voice. I at once regretted that I had frightened her, that I had made her count the hours, and I cursed myself for the fit of spite. I felt sorry for her, and I didn't know how to atone for my transgression. I began to comfort her, to seek out reasons for this absence, to advance various arguments, proof. Nobody could have been easier to deceive than she was at that moment, and indeed, at such a time, anyone would be happy to hear any sort of consolation whatsoever, and is made ever so happy by even the shadow of an excuse. And the whole thing, ridiculous, I began, becoming more and more excited and admiring the unusual clarity of my own argument. And it couldn't have come. You've misled me and bewitched me, Nastenka, so that I've lost track of time. Now, just think. He's only just got the letter. Let's suppose that he can't come. Let's suppose that he'll send an answer. Then the letter couldn't come before tomorrow. I'll go as soon as it's light tomorrow and let you know at once. Consider, finally, that there are 1,000 possibilities. Well, he wasn't home when the letter arrived, and perhaps he still hasn't read it. Anything might have happened. Yes, Nastenka answered. I didn't think of that. Of course, anything might have happened, she continued in her most compliant voice, in which, however, she continued, one could hear some other remote thoughts, like an unknowing dissonance. Here's what you'll do, she continued. You go as early as possible tomorrow, and if you get anything, you'll let me know at once. You do know where I live, don't you? As she began to repeat her address for me, then she suddenly became so tender, so timid with me. She seemed to be listening attentively to what I was saying to her, but when I addressed the question to her, she remained silent, got confused, and turned her head away from me. I looked her in the eyes. I was right. She was crying. Now, how can you? You're such a child. What childishness. Enough. She made an attempt to laugh to calm herself, but her chin was trembling and her chest was still heaving. I was thinking about you, she said to me after a minute's silence. You're so kind that I will have to be made of stone not to feel it. Do you know what just occurred to me? I was comparing the two of you. Why isn't he you? Why isn't he like you? He's not as good as you, even though I love him more than you. Wow. Okay, imagine the scenario, right? Where Let's say you are a man like myself and you like a certain girl, and the girl tells you, right, that I wish I had someone like you. And then in your head, you're like, but I'm me. But you don't want to say it out loud because, it will ruin what, the friend zone you got put in. Not that it happened to me or anything. But imagine yourself in that situation, right? It will suck, like really badly. I wonder what he's gonna say in reply to that. Let's find out. I didn't say anything in reply. She seemed to be waiting for me to say something. Told you. Of course, perhaps I don't fully understand him yet, don't fully know him yet. I was always a bit afraid of him. He was always so serious. He seemed so proud. Of course, I know that he only looks like that there is more tenderness in his heart than there is in mine. I remember how he looked at me then, when you remember, came to him with my bundle. But all the same, I respect him too much. And doesn't that mean we're not equals? No, Nastenka, no, I answered. That means that you love him more than anything in the world. And a good deal more than you love yourself. You should always love yourself more than you love anything and anyone in the world. Remember that. Yes, I suppose that's so, answered naively told Nastenka. But do you know what just occurred to me? Only I'm not going to talk about him now, but just in general. All of this occurred to me long ago. Listen, why is it that we aren't all like brothers to one another? Why is it that he just got in the brother zone? That's insane. Why is it that the very best person is always hiding something from other people and is quiet about it? Why not say frankly and immediately what's in your heart? If you know that you're not speaking idly, as it is, everyone looks more severe than they actually are, as though they're all afraid their feelings would be hurt if they reveal them too soon. Nastenka, what you say is true. Okay, I keep on thinking, right, about at like beginning of the sentences. In some part it says Nastenka, literally A-H, Nastenka. So I think it should be pronounced more like Nastenka. What you say, it's true. You see, there are many reasons for it, I interrupted, reining in my feelings at that moment more than I had ever done before. No, she answered with deep feeling. Now you, for example, aren't like other people. I really don't know how to tell you what I'm feeling, but it seems to me that you, for example, even now, it seems that you're sacrificing something for me. She added timidly, with a fleeting glance at me. You forgive me for putting it like that. You see, I'm a simple girl. You see, I've seen very little of the world so far. And really, at times, I don't know how to talk, she added in a voice that was trembling with some sort of hidden feeling, and meanwhile, trying to smile. But I only wanted to tell you that I am grateful that I feel all this as well. Oh, may God grant you happiness for this. Now and then, everything that you told me then about your dreamer is absolutely untrue. That is, I wish to say that it doesn't have anything to do with you. You're getting better. You really are a completely different person from the one you described. If you ever fall in love, then may God grant you happiness with her. But I don't wish her anything because she will be happy with you. I know I'm a woman myself, and you must believe me when I tell you. She fell silent and firmly squeezed my hand. I couldn't say anything either because of the emotion. Several minutes passed. Yes, clearly he won't come today. she said, finally raising her head. It's late. He'll come tomorrow, I said, in a most convincing and firm voice. Yes, she added, having cheered up some. I announced to myself that he won't come until tomorrow. Well then, goodbye, until tomorrow. If it rains, then I might not come, but the day after tomorrow, I'll come. I'll come without fail, no matter what. You'll be here without fail. I want to see you. I'll tell you everything. And later, as we were saying goodbye, she gave me her hand and said, looking at me brightly, You see, now we'll always be together. Isn't that so? Oh, Nastenka, Nastenka. If only you knew how lonely I am now. When it struck 9 o'clock, I couldn't stay put in my room. I got dressed and went out. Despite the foul weather, I was there, sitting on our bench. I started to walk down their lane, but I felt ashamed, and I turned back without having to look at their windows. When I was just a few steps away from their house, I came home more depressed than I had ever been. What a damp, boring time. If the weather had been fine, I would have walked about there all night long. But until tomorrow, tomorrow she will tell me everything. However, there was no letter today, but that was to be expected. They're together by now. Wow, okay, he just accepted that he and her will not be together. And with that last line, it would be the end of the third night. I hope you guys enjoy. If you have anything you want to say, please let me know down in the comments. And get ready, the podcast is almost done. Almost. And without further ado, my name is Ivan. This was White Nights by Dostoyevsky. As always, have a good day and be good people. Bye.